Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to my favorite reads of 2017. These books that I'm gonna mention are not necessarily books that were published in 2017, just the books that I actually got around to reading in 2017. And this is quite an extensive list. I tried to narrow it down, but then I said, you know what, I'm not gonna go in depth about these books because I'm pretty sure that you know most of them, or if you don't, you can always go on Goodreads and check them out for synopsis. So I'm just gonna basically tell you why they are on this list, why I like them so much. And yes, there are also a few recent reads that I'm not sure whether or not they would be on this list if I haven't read them recently. If I read them like 6 months ago, would they stay with me? I'm not sure. We shall see maybe next year if I revisit this. I sort of felt that they should be here, so I just left them in the list, on the list. Yeah, let's get to the books though. So the first book that I want to mention is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Now, by no means do I think that this book is all that. It's okay, nothing special, but it did leave me with this great impression, and I think that I mostly liked it because of how it presented OCD. As someone who doesn't have it, I'm basically clueless at how it feels to have OCD, what it is like, how people with it live, and I think that he did a really good job of presenting that to the readers, and it was exhausting just reading about it. And I do think that because of that, it is a very important read, so that's why it ended up on this list. Another very important book of 2017 was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This was a really good read. It's very current with the Black Lives Matter movement that is represented in it, but I mostly liked it for Star's family. It was just fantastic to see a family in a YA book that works, that communicates, that is happy together, that works things out, and I just really appreciated them. I just loved seeing how close they were, and my heart, I love that. For similar reasons, I have to mention To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. It's a trilogy, but mostly I want to focus here on book one because that was the one that I really adored. I loved the family aspects again, and I also loved the relationship between Lara Jean and Peter. I just loved especially the fake parts of it, and just their communications, their chatter. I just loved that one so much. It was a perfect summary read. Then I have a very magical read, and that is A Stranger Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This was another very pleasant surprise. I mean, I have read her previous trilogy before, but I did find that while I really enjoyed the writing, it was really slow, and this, yes, the writing is slow, it's pretty descriptive and all that, but it is magical. It's so beautiful that you just fall into it, and I love the characters, I love the story, I love Weep, I love just everything about it, and I cannot wait for the next book to come out. Another book that I really adored as well was A Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, which is book 2 in her Dark Artifices series, and this I especially love because I love all the Blackthorns, but I love Kit and Ty. They're just fantastic. I love them together. I love their friendship. Hopefully more someday, but I just enjoy them together so much. Kit as a character developed a lot, and I love that. I love the story, of course. The ending didn't hit me as hard as some people took it, because it's Cassandra Clare. You expect that something bad is gonna happen, and that character just sort of, I wasn't that attached to the character without spoilers. But I just love Kit and Ty, and they're perfect, and I cannot wait for the third book to see what happens, and I just, well, adore it. The next book that I have here is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, which is book 2 in his Red Rising trilogy, and I love the whole trilogy, but this one is my favorite. I knew what to expect. I knew that it's going to be crazy. This is one wild ride. It's so fast that sometimes I was just clueless to what's going on, and I had to figure it out and scramble just to do that. I love the characters, I love the story. It's gruesome and bloody and full of unexpected twists and turns, and I just love it. It just sucks you in, and I'm really looking forward to Iron Gold next month because I want to get back into this world. It was fantastic. Next I have Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan, which is book 1 in his new trilogy, and I really liked it. I love this world that he has created. We have been in this world before with his previous books, and this is slightly before those books, but still, I love the characters, especially Persephone. She's a great, tough lady, and if people would only listen to her, things would be so much better, but of course, they don't, so there are problems, and I really liked it. I think I'm actually reread this one soon because I do have a sequel, and the third book is coming out soon, at the beginning of spring, I think, and I want to refresh myself because with fantasy, you know, there tend to be a lot of details that you might forget or just overlook when you're reading it for the first time. At least I do, and I do want to sort of pay more attention to it, I guess. And it's a rather short book, yeah, so it's gonna be fast, but I'm really looking forward to it. Another magical read that I got around to reading this year is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire, which is book 1 in the Wayward Children series of novellas, and it's short but sweet. I really loved the writing style. It just, well, it blew me away, but it sucked me in. It was so special. I just loved it. I'm not generally one for pretty, you know, writing, but I did really love this one, and it's really magical and just full of imagination. It's crazy what she came up with, and I loved the world itself, and I do plan to continue on because I do want to explore the other worlds, because I heard that sequels are even better, so yeah, fingers crossed that that's true. So, you know, you might have a Seanan McGuire here on this list, well, on the next year's list, but yeah, fingers crossed. The next book really surprised me by how much I liked it. I mean, it is a hybrid book, so I was sort of wary when I reached for it, because hybrid books tend to disappoint, at least they do with me, but this one didn't, and I'm talking about Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, which is a fantastic read. I was so pleasantly surprised, and especially because it did make me laugh out loud a few times, and I definitely didn't expect that, but it did. It was at points hilarious. At least I found it that way. I don't think it's that common an opinion, but yeah. Anyways, it's a great book. I loved Mia, I love the Assassin's School and all the mysteries that surrounded it, and I definitely want to continue on with these books, and I want to explore the, you know, more of this world, and I do plan to do that at the beginning of next year. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, but I just loved it. Then I read Arabella of Mars by David D. Levine, which is a fantastic read. It really surprised me. I didn't know that I was gonna like it as much. Arabella is fantastic. She's terrific. I really like strong, powerful young adult characters. She's not angsty, she's just, you know, she's very determined and she does what she wants, and she's very brave. I love the world. It's similar to ours, but with slight differences. There's, you know, our solar system has been colonized. You can travel through the air, from planet to planet on ships, basically similar to what you would see on the sea, and I just loved it. It was really fantastic, and I loved seeing the world that way. Now, I have to say that up until this point, this list was not ranked, but these last 2 books that I'm going to mention, yes, are my favorites above them all, and I do prefer them to all of them. But yeah, anyways, the first book that I want to mention is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 3 in his Stormlight archive. Yes, it's not number 1, shocking, I know, but still, I really enjoyed it. I think that one reason why it's maybe not number 1 is firstly that I did not reread the other 2 books in the series, and also read on my Kindle, and I don't tend to like reading on my Kindle as much as if I have a book in my hands. That does take away some of the pleasure, for me at least. But anyways, doesn't matter, it's up there and it's fantastic. I love seeing things from Delnar's point of view. We get to see a lot more of his background, how he became the man that he is today. We get to see Kaladin, Shallan, who was just really enjoyable this time around. I mean, you know, she has slowly grown on me. I didn't care for her in book 1 at all. Now I really like her. She's my favorite female character amongst the female ladies, and I love that we get to explore a lot more of the world. We meet a bunch of new characters that are really terrific, and we also get to learn more about the history of this world and how we got to the point at which we are at. Oh. And yes, I just love these books. Of course, now we have a long way in front of us for book 4, but still, it's well worth it. Brandon Sanderson he's a miracle worker, and you know I love him anyways. But then, of course, we get to book 1, and if you didn't guess by now which one it is, you're hopeless. But it is, of course, Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. This was my find of the year. I love the whole trilogy. Out of the 3, this is my favorite, for reasons that I think I mentioned in my review videos. I cannot actually pinpoint why I love this book so much. I think it's just the blend of everything, and the writing, which is pretty simplistic. It's nothing special, but it really flows well and just pulls you in, and for some reason I find it really warm. I cannot explain that, but that's how I feel about it. Vaelin is a fantastic character. I love seeing how he grew up to be this fantastic guy, and how he explored the world, how he learned about it, and we do that as well for his eyes. And I think that part of the reason why I didn't like books 2 and 3 as much is because we, you know, it's sort of a fracture. It's the perspectives fracture because we get to follow the story from other people's perspectives as well. And he is my favorite character, so, you know, I was not so thrilled to read for someone else's perspective. But still, this book, it's one of my favorites. I'm so embarrassed and feel so silly that I forgot to mention Anthony Ryan in my new favorite authors. How could that happen? I must be getting old. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite read. You know, that I do recommend it left and right always, and I will be rereading it. Not sure when, but I'm pretty sure that at some point next year I will reach for it. But of course I have his other trilogy to read as well, so yeah, maybe I'll have to wait a bit. But still, this is my favorite read. Go read it if you love fantasy. Give it a try. See for yourself. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. If you do, I'm really happy, obviously. And yes, that's it. That's my list. Those are the best books that I read this year, or at least the ones that remained with me for the longest, you know, because sometimes I do rate books higher on my Goodreads, and then when I go through the list at the end of the year, they just didn't stay with me despite the higher ranking. Sometimes even a book that I didn't, you know, rank as high might end up on a list for some reason, and it's just how I feel it, you know, basically. But yes, let me know down in the comments what your favorite read of 2017 was, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye!